Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Hanny Imania. I'm a second-year PhD student here in University of Reading, Department of Typography and Graphic Communication. This paper is part of my ongoing research project regarding Javanese scripts transcription to early type technology. And today I will be talking about how graphic forms, cultural heritage and value, as well as type technological constraints entangled within the visual representation of the Javanese script. So this is basically the structure of my presentation, divided into 4 sections here. I'm afraid I have to start with a boring history, but unfortunately it's necessary to give you a contextual background, followed by the OM philosophy and how it is reflected in the Javanese graphic structure, and how it transformed after typographical development and conclusion. Just okay, so here goes the boring part.
No, it's not boring.
Okay.
History is interesting.
Okay, all right.
Teach us things.
Hold your horses. Okay.
Yeah, it's not boring.
Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. Some of you might be already familiar with it. Java is one of Indonesia's major islands, albeit not the biggest, but it's definitely most densely populated. Roughly similar in size with Great Britain, but double in population. And it had long played a significant role, particularly in Southeast Asia. And geographically, it is also one of the most dynamic and culturally diverse island in the archipelago, mainly for its trade activities. Between the 16th to 17th century, there's a turn of political forces that took place in the island. From the decline of the Hindu-Buddhist kingdom to the rise of Islamic kingdom. And one of the most notable example is the two Mataram kingdom, the earlier Hindu-Buddhist Mataram kingdom known as Medang, and the later Islamic Mataram Sultanate. Don't ask me what happened in between. This is something that we learned back in school, but for me, it's just something that I thought I would never would need it later in life, but probably entirely wrong. Okay, so while Java is the largest ethnic group inhabiting the island, it is in fact not a singular society as illustrated in the maps here. The one on top is a map depicting the area of Mataram Kingdom expansion, and the one below is illustrating the diversity of the dialects among the Javanese-speaking regions. From the two maps, I think we can see that there's sort of a correlation between the Mataram Kingdom expansion and the division of area of the dialect. Mainly occupying the central part of the island is the speaking in a dialect that is more highly stratified, known as Mataraman, and the eastern part, that's the blue part in there, it's divided by the isogloss formed through the flow of Brantas River, often characterized as relatively more egalitarian. Spoken there is a dialect known as Arean. And of course, there are other dialects as well. But the Mataraman dialect, also the majority, has become the standard. It is also believed to have influenced the linguistic behavior of the neighboring ethnic group, the Sundanese, and that's the great area in here. And so wherever you are in Javanese-speaking part of the island, the Mataraman dialect is the version that is taught in school and has therefore, along with their ideas and also way of thinking, influence and become the norms of the bigger Javanese ethnic group. Now, the Mataram court culture, as implied before, is hierarchical and also known to be a very developed society at the time, the architecture, the literature, whatever, and they emphasize order and classification. They basically like to find meaning and wisdom in everything they encountered with the big idea to create harmony. For them, everything has its own place or server function in this world, like the king has his own role, but so with those in the middle and below level in society. To see this kind of hierarchy, we can take a look at this linguistic behavior, where they have at least 3 registers for the 3 different level of statuses, but also it may vary across the different dialects. For example, in Javanese, there are different ways to say you, depends on your relation with your speaking partner. So there's high register, middle, and low. So for example, when you're talking to your friends or someone with equal social status than you, you're seeing them on eye level, or in this case, body level. So you refer to them as awakmu. And in English, it's literally translated to your body. Let's say you ask your friend, are you coming? In Javanese, it is your body coming? If you think this is weird, hold that thought. Now, if you're talking to someone of a higher social status than you, like for example, your parents, it's as if you're on level with their feet. And this is associated with tradition in Javanese culture. Like when someone talks to the king, they are supposed to kneel and bow to the point you can only see their feet. Therefore, sampean, or your feet. So this time it's, are your feet coming? That's even weirder, right? Okay. Vice versa, if you're talking to someone lower than you, you can only see their head or face. But this is not commonly used in real life, especially these days, unless you're really mad at this person and you want to insult them or to insinuate that they are lowly being or they have lower status or education level than you. And I somewhat find it interesting that in Western culture, anything in lower body region usually used negatively, your foot, your ass, for instance. But in Javanese, if you want to provoke someone, just say anything in the upper body region. But if you choose something from this area, your head, your face, your eyes, your mouth, anything works perfectly. So unlike in English, the Javanese does not grammatically encode tenses in their language, so we struggle a lot when we learn the language. But in turn, we have social identifier to sort of imply what's your relation or your position against your speaking partner. And there's no pattern or regularity whatsoever, as you can see in there, between those 3 registers. So if you don't know, you don't know. And this Javanese hierarchical nature is not only expressed to linguistic register, but it is also influence how they read the graphic behavior in their writing system. Um, for example, in how they interpret the stacking structure that has become more visible in its adaptation to technology, where it has to be divided into 3 major positions. Of course, Javanese is not the only script that employed the stacking structure in its writing system. For example, there are South Asian script like Devanagari, and Korean Hangul also employ a similar stacking graphic behavior. But to quote today's keynote speaker, correlation, not causation, hierarchy is a concept Javanese people are familiar with. So that's also how they see or understand some things. According to traditional Javanese interpretation, just as people have their places in society, letters also have theirs in their graphic structure. The Javanese script historically derives from Brahmic script through the adoption of Pallava. But the modern Javanese script, as we know today, was established in the 15th to 16th century. So some have suggested that it is developed during and associated with the Mataram Sultanate tradition and way of thinking. The script is also known as Hana Caraka, or Carakan, taken from the letters on the first line of the alphasyllabic sequence, arranged in the form of a pangrammatic verse. Uh, Maybe some of you might remember this translation from my other talk. It was based on the legend of Ajisaka, which, if you read the whole story, tells you how Indian culture travels all the way to Java. While this version is the widely accepted interpretation of the sequence, It is absolutely not the only one, including one that would be too inappropriate to share here because it's too Kama Sutra-ish. And this is also the version that is taught at school, primary school that is, so the Kama Sutra version, big no. Um, Here I'm going to share with you another interpretation found in Suwardi, which sort of loosely based on Islamic teaching, providing a more reflective interpretation of human relationship with God. The first line closely relates to the concept of Khalifatul Ard, that we are not the owner of the earth, but we are simply entrusted with the care of it. And the second line relates to the concept of qada and qadar, free will and predestination. The third one relates to the two dimensions of human, jasadiyah ruhaniyah, or corporeal and spiritual. And the last line means to God do we belong and to God we shall return, which is what Muslims usually say when someone passed away. So the script itself might be inherited from South Asian writing culture, but its interpretation can be from anywhere, which shows the further entanglement of cultures in the script. This interpretation also suggests that the script functions as more than writing system, but also a medium to carry the value that the Javanese upholds. Now, the set actually only has 20 basic characters as shown here, but the writing system comprises of other features that I will show you in a bit. Um, yeah, this practice of constructing symbolic meaning into a harmonious interpretation is actually a typical Javanese characteristic and more commonly known as Otatik Matu, or the Om philosophy. So otaati can be translated to fiddle, to construct, to arrange, or to piece things together. And matu can be translated to fit, to match, or to make sense of, or in short, arranging things until they fit. According to Fitriana Sari, the Om is a manifestation of Japanese philosophical thinking, frequently applied to interpret all phenomena in life, or if I may oversimplify, the Javanese style semiotics. And it is not only reflected, but also very dominant and deeply embedded in all daily aspects, including the writing system. Um, I will not explain much about the OM concept itself. It's an existing concept, which you can read more on the reference I put at the back of my presentation. But what I'm going to show you today is how this theory, or some of this OM interpretation, becomes the framework to understand the Japanese graphic structure, especially in relation to hierarchy. So now let's see some of the example. So traditionally, the Japanese script is written not above the line, but instead hang from the line. And this is most probably influenced by the South Asian script, or North Indian to be specific, like Devanagari, where they usually have a headline or the Shiroreka. And the letters hang from this headline extending downward. According to the OM interpretation found in Suwardi, this has been interpreted as reflecting human subordination towards God, that no matter how high your status is in social hierarchy, we still live under God's rule or God's mercy until the end of line, as reflected in the second interpretation of the pangram I shared with you earlier. Now, Japanese script is alphasyllabic, so it has an inherent vowel a in its basic character. If you want to nullify the inherent vowel, you need an additional or supporting character called paten or pangkon. Paten means to kill, and I think that's pretty straightforward. You use it to kill the inherent vowel. And the word pangkon derived from pangku, which means lap, or to hold or carry or put someone on one's lap. If you look here, the shape of the character actually somewhat mimic the pangku gesture as shown in the traditional Javanese groom statue on the right. And this is how to use the paten or pangkon character. For example, if you want to write the word pan, you need two basic characters, right? You need pa and also na. But since you don't need the inherent vowel in the last character, you put the paten or pangkon to pangku, or to carry the letter na, to kill its inherent vowel, and to turn it into pan. For the Javanese, this act of carrying something on your lap can be unpacked in several ways. So interpretation one, mati harus dipangku, meaning it is the living's responsibility to carry those who have passed. To illustrate the idea, I use Pieta statue here, which I hope I don't use irresponsibly. But basically, carrying someone on your lap, as shown in the image here, symbolizes compassion, grief, and also acceptance. This reading provides a suggestion of how one's attitude should be toward those who have passed. Interpretation two is the more widely accepted version, and especially, I hope this is understandable enough, but basically to indulge or make someone overly comfortable to the point that they become conceited or lost sense of agency and into a figurative death. But Javanese script is a continuous script, and paten and pangkon can only be used at the end of a sentence. If you need to nullify an inherent vowel in the middle of a word or sentence, you're using pasangan character instead. So pasangan means partner, so it functions as a supporting or auxiliary or non-initial characters. Most of these pasangan characters have a hanging form, except for three, and they still, even though they're not hanging, they still undergone a change in other aspects, such as change in form. And within OM interpretation, this change can be understood as sacrifice or a form of subordination towards the considerably more powerful form or the basic character. So if you still remember how to write the word pan, it ends with pangkon, right? But if you want to write the word panda, where there's another syllable that follows, then you cannot use pangkon, but instead you use the pasangan character instead, like, and put it below. And this is how you write the word panda correctly. Traditionally, this is how Javanese script or text is written. From the texture only, I think you can see that how much bigger the subscript or the pasangan are compared to the basic characters. So the subscripts are so enlarged and so exaggerated to the point they clash, they overlap, they tangled, and whatever else is going on there. So it tells us that even though the pasangan characters are expected to retreat into subordination, this does not extend to other aspects like scale. But of course, this entanglement of the subscript become a problem when the script adapted to movable type in the 19th century, where every symbol or character needs to be confined in a rectangular space. If we were to compare the proportion of the script in manuscript and in type, the subscript can be about 9 times the height of the basic character, so it has been significantly reduced in typographic representation. Among the latest innovation for Javanese script toward the end of the foundry type era, the Dutch introduced a new system which cuts a lot of things down efficiently. Initially, Javanese script estimated 14,600 customary phonetic symbols, but here it has been reduced to 45 only. So they eliminated a lot of things, including the pasangan character. These detachment were taken even further in the digital type technology. If you still remember how to write the word panda incorrectly, well, in digital type, this is actually how to produce the word. So in digital technology, the paten or pangkon become indispensable during keyboard input as it triggers the display of the following consonant as pasangan. So unlike in handwriting, the formation of pasangan in digital typography is not as straightforward. And there's a gradual change or shift in how the way the structure was produced and also represented across type technology development. And this has been reconfigured by scale reduction, elimination of pasangan form, and digital encoding, which arguably creates distance, especially to contemporary user with how the graphic structure or subordination used to be interpreted traditionally. And to end this presentation, I'd like to share with you yet another interpretation of the pangrammatic sequence of the Javanese script, just the first line only, which acknowledge the freedom of the Javanese people have to interpret things with their creativity, their feelings, and willpower. Especially considering the diverse dialect within the Javanese ethnic group, I think it is reasonable to have a variety of interpretation, which according to the OM concept is an entirely possible or allowed thing to do, as long as it aligns with the Javanese core belief, which is mamayu hayuning bawana, or to beautify the beauty of the earth. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hanny. I agree. I don't think I heard anything boring the entire
Oh,
time.
thank you.
We have several minutes for questions as well. So. Yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering first, I like how you tied together these aspects of spirituality, with the meaning of these scripts.
Thank
It's like there's the meaning of the letter as far as the sound, and then the deeper meaning, and you have the same thing in Hebrew and Arabic.
Mm.
So I appreciate that, but I was also wondering like what has been done of like using the script for other languages, because the script looks so cool. I want to learn it today, but like teach me today so I can start taking notes in it.
Okay.
Yeah, I learned it for English like very fast, but if anyone has used it for some other languages.
Well, I mean, historically, the Javanese script is used to write Sanskrit,
Okay.
but I think that's the only other language I know that has been using Javanese.
What are the names of all those islands?
Sorry? Yes,
This is very cool.
thank you.
Please don't put down your own work as you present it, please. What do you see happening next? What's next for you in this project?
What's next for me? Okay, so initially, like when I first started my application for PhD, this is not my research proposal. So my research proposal is actually something very contemporary, but I think after I got here, I feel like I have the opportunity that probably not many Javanese researchers have the opportunity to. For example, we have the Javanese movable type here in the department. So I feel like, okay, I might change the direction and put my initial proposal later, because I think this can be the foundation of my later or initial project. And probably, hopefully, this will also be useful to other Javanese academics and also professional in the industry as well.
Can I ask you a boring question about these
Okay.
Javanese fonts?
Mhm.
Is this is the shaping and the open type layout that you described
Mhm.
well supported on major platforms for people who live in the region, or is this a problem, as it so often is, with writing systems trying to use open type these days?
First of all, I'm not a type designer, so I'm probably not the best person for you to ask this, but I have been encountering some problem because Japanese is in the Unicode, right? But sometimes the kanjang is not rendering properly. Yes, so I think that's still a lot of work to
Good
do.
answer.
Thank you.
All right, then thank you very much.
Thank you.